my dear students. Today we are going to start second chapter of class 11th chemistry, that is structure of an atom. Hope first chapter is clear to you people. If still you are having any doubt, then you can ask me or you can message me for that. Students, before starting this chapter, I want to tell you that we are conducting your pre-mid examination after 15th of August. So here the syllabus for your pre-midterm is first and second chapter both. If we will be able to complete this second chapter within this week, then whole chapter will be asked, or if we cannot complete whole chapter, then half portion of second chapter and full first chapter will be asked for your pre-midterm. Okay, so let's start with structure of an atom. Structure of an atom, that after the discovery means earlier Dalton said that atom cannot be divided further because it is the smallest part of the matter. But after the studies, many of the scientists came who proved that this atom can also be subdivided into three subatomic particles, that is called to be as electron, proton and neutrons, where the charge of the electron is negative, proton is carrying positive charge, and neutron do not have any of the charge. It means neutrons are neutral. After knowing about the subatomic particles, scientists were very curious to know that how these three subatomic particles are arranged inside the atom, because atom is already very small, or if it still has some classification, then how these things are arranged inside the atom. So these arrangement or the study of the arrangement of these subatomic particles inside the atom were explained by many of the scientists, but here we have three scientists whose theories were accepted, that is J.J. Thomson, that already we have studied in class 9th. After that we have Rutherford's model of an atom, that also we have studied in class 9th, who also gave us discover nucleus. Then we have Bohr's model of an atom. This Bohr's model of an atom, the theory which is given by Bohr's is accurately or totally correct, because whatever the drawback or whatever the limitation of the above two theories is cleared by the Bohr's model. Like Rutherford, what he said that atoms are not stable because all the electrons which are present in the atom, they revolve around the nucleus, and after revolution and during this revolution they are going to lose their energy, and after losing the energy they simply falls over the nucleus. But it is totally wrong, which were explained by Bohr. So here first we have the postulates of Bohr, and here we are going to know many more things about the Bohr's model that we have not studied in class 9. So here first we have theories of Bohr's model, that is according to Bohr, electrons are revolving around the nucleus in a fixed orbit. Okay, and each orbit has its own energy. Like if any of the electron is present in the first orbit, it has minimum energy, second one is having different energy, third one is having different energy. So while revolving, if they are revolving in the same orbit, then they are not going to lose or gain any of the energy until it jump from one energy level to another energy level. If it jump from one shell to another shell, then only there is change in the energy takes place, because each shell has their own energy level. Now we have achievement of Bohr's model. First achievement of Bohr's model, that is it explains the stability of an atom. The stability of an atom is what? Because atoms or electrons which are revolving around the nucleus, actually they are not going to lose their energy. How they lose their energy? Whenever they are present in the first shell, and it gains some of the energy whenever light falls into the surface of the atom, then many of the electrons are there which having the tendency to gain energy, and after the absorption of energy it jump from one energy level to another shell. And when after reaching on that shell, they feel some instability, and after some time it want to come back to its shell once again. So for coming back to its shell, because each energy level has different shell has different energy level. So that's why for coming back it has to lose all the extra energy that is gained by the electron. So after the losing of this energy it can come back to its original shell. So with the help of this one he is able to, or he was able to explain the stability of an atom. Second is what? It explains the spectrum of hydrogen. So what do you mean by spectrum? Spectrum, it is the splitting of light into 7 visible color, that is called to be a spectrum. So it explains the spectrum of hydrogen. So actually how any of the element is going to give spectrum. So as I already have discussed that whenever they jump from the one state, one orbit to another orbit, when they are present in their own shell it is called to be as ground state, and to which it jumps it is called to be as excited state. So here the energy which is emitted and the wavelength is fall in any of the electromagnetic spectrum which are shown as line of photographic plate. We have hydrogen spectrum, and we also have lots of series, that is Balmer series, P1, Lehman. They all have the different wavelength. Okay, so these wavelength we are going to calculate. So first, this change in energy can be expressed as, according to the Planck's quantum theory, del E is equal to h nu. Here del E is what? Del E is change in energy. This change in energy can also be written as E2 minus E1, where E2 is the final shell in which it jumps and E1 is the initial cell. H is Planck's constant and nu. So here we also know that nu is equal to what? That is nu, it represents wavelength, and nu is equal to c upon lambda, where c is the velocity and then we have lambda. So we can replace this nu by writing c upon lambda. And here if we need to calculate the wavelength, because as I tell you different energy level, if we are having any of the electron in different orbit, so then they are going to give different wavelengths. So if we need to calculate the wavelength for each, we have to use this formula, that is nu is equal to E2 minus E1 upon h, where h is the Planck's constant. So for this it gives the different line of definite wavelength. Now here we have one question, that hydrogen has only one electron, then how does it show so many lines in hydrogen spectrum and so many series? As we tell you that they are going to show many series. These all series are given in your book, but these all things for this year it is not in the syllabus, that's why I am not going to explain all the series. But hydrogen, though it has only one electron, then also it gives different lines in the spectrum. So how does it happen? So actually it is not only depends on the number of electrons present in any of the element, it is because of the line. See here we have different shell, that is K shell, L shell, M shell and N shell. So if any of the electron jumps from fourth shell to first shell, then the line is like that. If it jumps from 4 to second number of shell, then the line is like that, and again when it jumps from second to 1, then the line is little bit different. In the third one, here first this jumps from fourth to third shell, and then from third to first shell. So in all these they are going to jump from the fourth to 1, but here in the second and third one, here they are not going to jump directly, it jumps in single ways, means differently from that of the first one. So here the line is according to this. Here we are going to getting different wavelength, and on the basis of these different wavelength we are getting different colors or different spectrum. Okay, third one is what? Third one is Bohr's help to calculate the energy associated with electron in each orbits. Okay, but here one more drawback of this theory is that he restricted his study to the species which has only one electron, but not with the multi electron, because the element which are having only one electron, he done the studies of only those electron, like helium plus, because helium plus helium, it is having 2 electron, but if helium is having positive charge, it means it loses its 1 electron. Second is lithium 2 plus, here also lithium is having only 1 electron. So he has done the study of only those elements which are having 1 electron. And for the calculation of energy associated with the electron, here we have one formula, that is En is equal to minus RH, where RH is the Rydberg's constant, square bracket 1 upon n square, then square bracket close. Here the value for the Rydberg's constant is 2 pi square me4 upon h square. Now if we are putting the value of this Rydberg's constant into the above equation, then here we will get En is equal to minus 2 pi square me4 upon n square h square, where n is what? N is the number of electron, m is the mass, E is the charge, h is what? H is Planck's constant, and pi, the value of pi is also constant. So if we are putting the value of each one, then we can easily get the energy of electron. Okay, so these are the achievement of Bose that we have to know about. After that, there are many more things that is given by Bose, that's the dual nature. These all things we are going to discuss in the next class, because here we are having many of the numericals based on these theories. But let me check whether these all things are there in your syllabus for this session or not. For today we have this much only, students, because these topics are little bit difficult and little new for you people. That's why if we will go through the small portion, then only it will be clear to you people. So please kindly go through all the notes that I have given for this chapter. It will help you to get it more easily. Thank you so much for hearing.